Today's Z Sisters Pickleball, Ann and Carrie, are going to discuss the climate of tennis versus pickleball in 2026. Can both of us play at the park, or is somebody going to be evicted?
Well, I hope nobody gets evicted because everybody should play. Let's start with the acoustic assault, the sound. That's what Billie Jean King says.
I've played it a couple times, but I don't like the sound that much. But as long as I can play tennis, for me personally, when the ball hits the strings, it's magical. And with pickleball, I don't have that. I miss it's like if you want to hit a top spin or a slice or a pickleball's not quite. It's less sensitive that way.
When I walk past a park or a court and I hear that pickleball being hit in the background, I kind of like it because I think somebody's playing. I think there's a family playing or friends that are outside and playing a sport.
When I go by a park or a court, I hear the people laughing. I hear the people cheering because something exciting has happened. So it's not the country club atmosphere that tennis once was.
No, it's more like a street game, and everybody is just playing and having fun and cheering for each other. I don't quite see that on the tennis court. Uh, I don't think it's in the culture that you cheer for your opponent, but on the pickleball court, that's the fun.
So what is the sound made of? It's a wooden paddle originally, now more graphites, and a plastic ball,
Right there.
which when they combine, it's not like strings with fuzz. So it has sort of a jarring a sound, high frequency almost. In tennis, what do you hear?
I hear a softer hit. Sometimes I hear the ball and the strings and maybe a little bit of spin manufactured. That's also, it's very soothing.
It's magical.
But when we played on grass courts in the old days when we were competing, there was no sound of the bounce. It was a very quiet game. And then picture Wimbledon, where all you hear is the ball striking the racket, and then the light applause, which now has broken into more cheering as tennis has gotten more popular. Pickleball is just loud all the time. There's music playing. Does the acoustic assault bother you?
No, it really doesn't. Actually, when I boil it down, when I'm actually striking the ball and I hit it with a solid boom right there, that's a crisp sound that I'm looking for. That's where I know I'm striking the ball with authority and right in the center of the paddle. That's the sound I'm actually looking for.
Even with the dink, which isn't a strong hit, it can still have, you need to be able to have that sound so that you know what the ball's going to do. If you strike it with power and aggression, I know that sound is going to be louder and I'm ready for that. So we have to hear the ball. Strike. It just isn't the jarring plastic versus fuzz.
Well, talk about the sound. If you're playing tennis and you hit the ball on the frame, that's a definite sound. That's sound that I don't think anybody enjoys. And that's also going to be telling you something. What's that going to tell you as an opponent?
Well, yes, that equals to me the ball in a tennis serve hitting the top of the net, which we call the tape, and it has a jarring sound, and that tells me that there was a missed serve really close. We need to get that one in. And we heard it a number of times with a family member who will remain nameless. That sound of the tape to me is equal to hitting on the frame, which then represents something that didn't go well. Versus pickleball, it's the sound of going over the net, like you said, with authority. So what do you think out there? Does the sound keep you from playing pickleball? Is it enough to stop you from playing once you've already started? Or is just not even desirable because you just don't like the sound of what a pickleball does? Is the acoustic assault enough to stop you from playing? So for either one of us, no.
No. Question. Are pickleball courts taking up or gobbling up our tennis courts? I was sitting at a round table with a whole bunch of veteran tennis pros, and they've been around the game since the tennis boom in the 70s. And basically, a tennis court per square foot is not a very good return on your money. It takes a lot of space. Now, that's one thing. If we put 4 pickleball courts on one tennis court, then we have more revenue.
So 4 people playing on a tennis court in doubles, or maybe even just 2 people playing singles versus 16 people playing doubles on 4 pickleball courts.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot more activity, again, more sound, more noise, which we just talked about, but more revenue for your club or facility.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to argue that tennis is sustainable enough to produce that kind of income. On the other hand, pickleball isn't for everyone. And I'm not sure if the audience out there has decided to play pickleball or you're coming to it from either tennis or pickleball or maybe another sport altogether. But it's a closeness. When you stand face to face on a pickleball court, you're right across the net, 7 feet to the net, 7 feet to the net from the non-volley zone line or the kitchen line. You can have a conversation. You feel friendlier and more social. Tennis court, baseline to baseline, what's the length?
78 feet from baseline to baseline.
And a lot of people aren't playing the net these days, so that conversation of 78 feet is very loud,
Mm-hmm.
but not very productive because you can't hear somebody that far away.
Right. And then if you want to go pick up the tennis ball after the point, then you walk another maybe 18 to 20 feet to the fence, and now you start the point again. So the cadence also of the play is slower than on the pickleball court.
Now, before anybody gets the wrong idea, both Carrie and I started tennis during the year that tennis went open, meaning amateurs and pro plays together. 1968 is when we began playing tennis. We are lifelong tennis players. I love tennis. However, as we've gotten older and you want more from the game than just having to practice all the time because it's a very difficult game to learn and maintain. Once you've reached the pinnacle, in order to keep going, you have to keep practicing. So it's not like you wake up one day and say, oh, I'm the best player. Now I'm going to stay there forever. It doesn't work that way. In pickleball, you can join in as a tennis player, pretty quickly be good until you're not good, as the expression is, because it does require some nuances. But I'm not for taking tennis courts away to the benefit of pickleball. I'm saying that we can join in and be there together. Some courts have multi-lines.
Mm-hmm.
That's not ideal for many players. Some parks have one court that's just tennis, and the other court is maybe 2 to 4 pickleball courts. So you're alongside next to each other, and then becomes maybe the war of the 2 games, which I'm not in favor of.
But often when you go, when you're walking past a court in a park, the pickleball courts are being used, and the tennis court is not. So I got, again, I don't see any reason why we can't coexist, why we can't play together as a community, but we have to be respectful. And we have heard of some picklers, that's what we call them in a nice way, picklers going in at night and lining the tennis courts with the painter's tape so they can play pickleball in the morning.
In the morning. It's sort of stealth by night pickleballers. Now, that makes tennis players mad.
And if I were a tennis player, and I am, that would make me mad too.
So I think we have to have either agreements. I know there's one court that we've played at where they have days of the week and a schedule. Pickleball is on Monday and Fridays. And that was in San Francisco at Moscone.
Right.
Where you have a schedule of these hours are tennis only, these hours are pickleball only. I think they're trying to coexist. And in the city of San Francisco, I've met people at parties or even at a wedding reception, and we got into a heated argument. You're taking our tennis courts away. I said, I'm not doing anything. Again, you're going to lump me in with the rest of them. Nobody wants to be lumped together, but I can see the benefit of both games. We can play many things. We can play baseball or softball. We can play badminton. We can play ping pong. It doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing one for the other. It's just that there is such a community right now around pickleball because it's social, because you're closer together, and because you can have this interaction, that I think pickleball is a very social game and a very easy entry level for some people.
And that's a good point, Ann. The tennis player has a skill of sending and receiving with basically a 27-inch racket. We scale it down on the pickleball paddle, which is about 17 inches. So now that's a little bit different send and receive from your hand, but it's still the skill of seeing something being hit, going, and then coming back. We can adapt as tennis players to this new apparatus. We have a different ball bouncing. All of these things are just a little bit different, but that's where I found the challenge really fun. That was the most fun for me, and continues to be, is as my tennis brain can just kind of be in the background, how can I become a better pickleball player with these new and different equipment?
It is challenging. And the one person that comes to mind, because he's been copying what I've been saying for a long time, is Andre Agassi, the great champion. The flash of the long hair and the denim shorts and just the wild way that he played when he was 16 years old, when he first joined tennis or the tour. And he says, I love learning something new. He also previously said, pickleball is where old tennis players go to die. I think he's adjusted that statement because he has been on the court with Annalie Waters, the #1 woman player, and continues to dominate. And he was learning something from a young person, and he's over 50 years old. So that just shows how he's grown with this growth mindset of he wants to have activity and fun in his life. And he and his wife, Steffi Groff, play 3 times a week.
Good for them.
Yes.
Good for them. And they're spending time together?
They only play on the same side.
Right.
And they try to play 3 times a week.
Good for them. Good for them.
What they do take is that tennis view of practicing, though. And I don't find a lot of pickleball players doing that unless they had maybe a golfer. They go out to the driving range. Tennis players will go hit serves, a basket full of serves. Pickleball players just want to play, play, play. And I don't know whether then that allows them to improve to the level that they want to play at, or if it's just enough to be social. Some people like this game just for the social part of it, pickleball.
That's where I think as a tennis player, we've set our goals before. And is it a different tournament that we want to achieve, or a different ranking, or a team that we've been on? We've been schooled to have goals. And if the goal is to get outside at 10 o'clock on Monday morning and meet 6 to 8 friends and play for 2 hours, your goal's met. So who needs skills? I mean, that's where you can frame anything you'd like in a win, and it doesn't have to be a win. Let me say that Andre Agassi and Annalie Waters did not win their tournament, did they? Here's Agassi playing a professional sport, and he didn't win his tournament, and I think it was okay with him.
He just wants to get better. He now is an investor in Duper, which watch one of our future videos because we're going to talk about Duper ratings, and you're going to see where we stand on that. That's a topic that could be considered a hot topic. Going back to when we were talking about the length of the tennis racket. So the tennis racket is 27. The pickleball paddle is 17. Normally, the longer the racket or paddle, the more difficult it is. That rule is broken when you go to table tennis. If you watch those points of the Olympic level players, when they're standing feet behind the table and hitting topspin and angles and as hard as anybody can hit, that paddle, I don't even know what the length is. Leave that answer in our comments. How long is a ping pong or table tennis paddle? That game is super fast. That actually is what the brain doctors say is the best game for your head, is table tennis, then pickleball, then tennis. So all of these things are going to help our brain. So why wouldn't we want to encourage each other to have better brains?
Right.
So we don't have to be against each other just because somebody chooses to play one game over the other. And no, we're not trying to take your courts away. We're trying to figure out how we can coexist, maybe with scheduling, maybe with a separate court for both games in the same park or at a club. We teach at a tennis club. There's mostly tennis and one pickleball court and one court line for both. Like we have the orange court lines for the younger players in tennis. We make the courts smaller. Pickleball is a smaller court and you can fit more. So financially, it just makes sense.
It does.
One of the stats that I looked up before we sat down for this conversation, Carrie, is the amount of tennis players versus pickleball players right now in the U.S. We're just going to leave it to the U.S. There's 25.7 million, I believe, tennis players that play at least once a year and maybe more regularly. There's 23 million and growing and maybe surpassing tennis this year, 2026. So tennis, watch out. Again, I think you're threatened because there's more excitement right now with pickleball, and can't say that that's, it should be that way, because pickleball is exciting, especially for more people, more accessible. And so if you just go by the numbers, if you can fit 16 people on the size of a tennis court, I think your club is going to want to have 16 people coming to eat lunch or getting something to drink afterwards, and then be able to play with multi-generations, with kids and grandparents, and everybody get together as far as a game that is easier for all to play. Novak Djokovic last year said that he felt that tennis was going to be extinct if players didn't watch out. It's a financial thing on his end. I don't know whether he has played pickleball. I've seen him play padel. I can't remember seeing a video. Maybe he played in one time in an exhibition kind of setting where he just fooled around with a pickleball paddle and ball. It's not that it's going to be extinct, is that real estate is so expensive. And where we are in California, we can't grow pickleball courts because of the cost of the real estate. We can't afford to resurface our tennis courts, which now are crumbling from the 1960s when the infrastructure first was in this area. We have tons of tennis courts. Every school and rec department is going to have tennis courts too, but now they're putting in pickleball courts in addition. They're not just taking away tennis courts. But what would you do if you were the landowner? Would you want more people to come?
I'd want more people to come, but we also have to look at the history of the game. And the history of tennis is very strong. It's not going away. It's not going to be extinct. There's a love for the game, a generational love for the game that is almost like baseball, America's game. It's got folklore, it's got heroes, it's got sheroes, Billie Jean King. That's why we started tennis. 1968, we saw Billie Jean King at the LA Forum, and we were in the nosebleed seats, and we saw her play professional tennis, and that's when we knew we could be tennis players. That's not going to be going away.
True.
Every club has its battle with, are they going to be paying the rent? Is this really worth it? And it is worth it. Some clubs are going away. The San Francisco Tennis Club sadly got torn down after years and years of just being an institution in the city. But now it's bulldozed, and now we have the reconstruction of where the ballpark is, where the Giants play. So yes, those things do happen.
Well, look, think about tennis clubs when they put in the giant swimming pool. We had a tennis membership or a swim membership. Sometimes those groups cross, sometimes they didn't. Some clubs are known for being a really strong swimming club. Some are known for being a really strong tennis club. Somehow they've made their peace because they find their own lane to be in. It will cross over in some cases and it won't. But I'm thinking of that when the tennis clubs grew, they needed to have a pool. People wanted that. Some people just lap swim. In addition, then what made people stay at these clubs was bringing in a chef, making the food desirable, because they have to get people fed. People need to stay all day in order for the club to make money. Social events. So we found one of our niches is holding pickleball parties for many of the tennis guests or tennis members, because they can include more people. It is social, like we were talking about. And now the club makes revenue that they wouldn't otherwise, because on a Friday night, you can have a large group that aren't necessarily top tennis players enjoying a game of pickleball and drinking margaritas.
And then having the taco bar right there. So it can feed on each other. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I've never played pickleball. Okay, those of you who've never played pickleball, come on over here. And the other ones know how to do it, go right ahead over there. And then all of a sudden, within 20, 30 minutes, everybody's driving. Everybody's hitting the ball over the net. So the great divide that we speak of, the battle or the extinction of one sport, I don't see it happen.
No, I don't either. And in fact, people enjoy, even if they're not tennis players, enjoy watching Wimbledon every year, the US Open. I don't watch every match like I used to when I was younger, because it does take a big time commitment. But if there's somebody that I enjoy watching play, I'll watch that over any pickleball. Annalie Waters I'll watch on YouTube, and Ben Johns, but not just anybody. I don't watch first round matches either in tennis. So I think the viewing audience is really still partial to tennis. So that extinction won't go away. The prize money is growing in pickleball, and we have quite a few former tennis players joining pickleball because they can be at the end of their career and continue. Jeannie Pritchard is now on a team in Arizona playing pickleball, and she had met one Grand Slam final, I believe. And her ranking in tennis has never been the same as that one year that she was outstanding. I'm thinking of Sam Querrey, who retired from pickleball after his tennis career. Jack Sock was an outstanding doubles player over singles player, but he has done very well in pickleball.
And then on the other end, we have the D1 athletes, the scholarship tennis players, who just simply can't make it on the tennis tour. It's just so competitive. So where are they going? They're going to the pickleball tour. It's not as difficult. They have huge skills. Their bodies are primed at 20 to 22 years old. They know what it feels like to compete.
They can run.
Why not? So that there's another option. There's another venue for the athlete who doesn't maybe want to get the real job. Believe me, the real job of a professional tennis player or a professional pickleball player is real.
Yeah.
Yes, they really do have to commit.
But think about it in terms of, I believe they're in the major leagues, maybe 1,000 players. Could be a little bit under that, 900 to 1,000, 700. The professional tennis player, you're nothing if you're below 128 because you're not in the main draw at Wimbledon. You're on the circuit that goes around to all the courts that don't bring in a lot of money, that don't bring in any money really, to watch these players that are on the challenger circuit. But they want to break into that 128 where the money is top heavy. It's all up here. $5 million to the US Open winners, males and females, that's great. But the money needs to seed down a little bit if those people are going to be able to have an existence, because it's not only expensive to travel, you don't have a team that's paying for your way. You have to go somewhere, lose in the first round, sit around for a whole week, go to the next location. You still need a hotel. You still need the practice time that's given to the top players. It's really, really difficult. Pickleball players can make it. The money is growing in this sport, but I'm not sure how much watching time it's going to be. Maybe in person, maybe not on TV. The revenue is not going to be the same for those two things.
Well, watching the tournaments, I think, is getting very exciting. For instance, at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden, that's the 5th biggest tennis tournament in the world. Well, what do they do for the pickleball players? They completely transform and resurface the tennis courts into pickleball courts. And the viewing there at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden, I hear, for pickleball is premium. So that's where everybody's putting their brains together. It's the same venue. There's pickleball, there's tennis. Why not do that?
You can reinvent your venue like they do in Central Park. They take the ice skating and make it this funny odd-shaped horseshoe, I haven't played there, setting for pickleball during the summer. They charge a premium to rent the courts, and they're getting used most of the year, not just in the winter when people were ice skating in Central Park. So if you're talking about using it multi-use, it can be at different times of the year. It can be for different events. It does cost money, so you're going to need people to come to either watch or participate. And the national tournaments draw quite a few people, 750 people to the last nationals that our brother Mike went to in San Diego last month.
Well,
paying a premium to play.
Just plain to play, but then there's 750 hotel rooms. Everybody's got to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everybody's got to have transportation there. So that's a lot of revenue for the local and also all the transportation.
And you know it's changing with pickleball because the teams have been going on for a while and people own them. There's many people that own pickleball teams. Now they're not being guaranteed a salary anymore. Now you're only going to get money when you win. And that's been the tennis structure for quite a long time. Team tennis works for a very, very short season, and it's still Billie Jean King's dream has not really caught on to the degree that it once did in the 70s when Chris Evert played and Bjorn Borg also. Just winning is going to make you the salary, not just being there. So it's a changing world for all professional athletes in sports. Think of the minor league players in baseball. They get a length of a career that might be hampered by injury, and then they're done and they're retired and now selling insurance. Nothing is a given, whether it's tennis or pickleball. I say you make hay while the sun is shining. And if anybody can be a professional athlete in a sport they love, coming from tennis to pickleball, more power to you. And our last topic in this conversation about the climate between tennis and pickleball in 2026. Let's just go over the numbers of the amount of courts. One of the stats that I got for this discussion today, Carrie, is there are approximately 270,000 tennis courts throughout the United States. I don't know if that includes private courts, but you never know. We live in an area that has a few private courts that we've played on. There are about 70,000 pickleball courts, with almost the same numbers, pickleball outshining tennis in numbers this year. So there are fewer courts. Pickleball needs more courts, guaranteed. We have 4 times as many tennis courts as pickleball courts, and yet the tennis players are feeling like they're being shortchanged.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Why? Because you have something that somebody else wants?
And that's when they get a little bit nervous when they see the amount of people playing pickleball and the tennis courts are empty. Drive by a tennis court, it will almost be empty. Drive by pickleball courts and they are full. That's really the discussion today. The climate is somebody is not getting something that they want to keep it, then they have to show up and play. Can you do both? You can go to both of them and then show up as a number in either column. That's what we choose to do. We are tennis players who play pickleball. Nothing wrong with that. We're tennis professionals and pickleball professionals as well, because we want to grow athletes who enjoy playing and competing for fun. I think our third challenge this year would be to add a little ping pong or table tennis into our mix and see how we can have this discussion next year. See if we get people excited about just playing games. It's all fun.
It is all fun. And if we're speaking about the health of our communities and our friends and our families, would we want them to go outside and simply be engaged? The answer would be yes. Does it matter if they're winning or losing? No, it doesn't. We're simply trying to enjoy what we have in front of us with people that we like, meeting new people, or maybe revisiting some old friendships.
One of the favorite things that I enjoy about pickleball is playing pickleball with old tennis friends and opponents. I love it because I know that we think about the same things from before. Now we're older. We still have the same competitive natures. There are no 2 more competitive people than the Z sisters. And we want to experience that with some of our tennis friends. So this year is, for me, one of the things that I really want to do in 2026 is call up some of those people, get them on the court with us, and let's play pickleball.
And it is a laugh, because
We laugh.
we will all be eating humble pie. It's not the tennis court, it's the pickleball court. It's just a different mindset. But boy, there are some funny shots that we get to come up with. So rather than losing, we just simply get to laugh.
What do you feel is the state of the climate between tennis and pickleball? Can we coexist? Is somebody going to go extinct either game of? I don't think so. I think Carrie and I have discussed quite a bit. We'd love to hear from you. And this discussion is far from over. Let us know in the comments below if you want us to tackle a particular issue or question, and we'll have an opinion about it. But I have now come onto the side, from the dark side, that you can even play both games. Maybe not at the competitive level where you're going to be entering tournaments, but I think you can. Before I thought not. Now I've changed my mind.
I agree.
Signing out, Z Sisters Pickleball. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'd love you to join us on our journey.